Welcome back, fiber friends. My name is Brian, and this is the Wool to Gold podcast. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I am filming it kind of immediately after I filmed my last podcast episode. So we're not going to have any FOs or whips or anything like that. We are jumping right into the stash flash. So this has been super requested. I've already done a yarn stash flash where I walk through all of my yarn collection on TikTok. So if you want to see that, maybe I'll upload it here. That is going to be my solution. I'll upload some of it here, my yarn stash flash to go along with this. What a stash flash is just a chance to essentially toss your stash, to look through all of your fiber, make sure that there are no bugs or signs of bugs, things like moths and carpet beetles. And it's also an opportunity to just sort of refresh and remind ourselves what we have and appreciate our stash, love our stash, instead of feeling like when we look at our stash, we have this growing sense of dread and guilt. I feel like I talk to so many people who feel so guilty about their stash, and honestly, I wish my stash could be as grandiose and beautiful as theirs. I try to remind them that it's a fantastic thing. They have all these resources they can turn to and play with at any time. That being said, I do have a considerable amount of stash at this point in the year. So this is right after I made one of my big major fiber purchases of the year, which is just the Rhinebeck Festival. I made a lot of purchases there, and I'm not going to focus on those as part of my stash. I'm really going to focus on everything else today. A lot of my followers, especially on TikTok, ask me all the time where I source my fiber. So this is a chance for you guys to sort of get a in-depth look. I'm going to tell you as much as I can remember and know about each of these fibers and where I got them. Some of them were from D-stashes, and I'll talk about that because I did track down the original seller, and a lot of them still exist on Etsy, so I'm going to mention them as well. And I hope you guys just have a fun time looking through my fiber collection. So the point of my stash flash, I do try to rotate my stash or toss my stash at least 4 times a year. Some people just do it once a year. It's really just a nice thing to do to, again, make sure that you don't have any moths or carpet beetles in your fiber. Because I work with wool, and especially raw wool, this is something I do need to monitor. I've never had an insect problem. Fingers crossed, let's keep it that way. And personally, I use a mix of cedar blocks and also moth beware, which is a mix of cedar shavings, bay leaves, peppermint, rosemary, just a ton of other lavender, a lot of other things that are just sort of natural bug deterrents. And I found this to be very effective. Also, in my closet, where I have the highest concentration of both fleece and vintage clothing, I do have moth traps, so that, God forbid, if moths do pop up, I have a sneaking suspicion that if they were ever to come about, it would be in my closet. And so I have the moth traps there so that if moths do pop up, I will quickly notice that they're there if it's not during my usual, toss. And when we say toss, we don't literally mean throw. We just mean to look through and inspect. So another reason that I do these sort of stash tosses is so I bring fiber that I'm planning on working with in the coming months to the front. So while I do love fibers like this, these are cotton rollags. Oh gosh, it's so blown out. I'm so sorry about that. But these are cotton rollags from Xander's Cottage. You can find him on TikTok and Facebook and all of those wonderful places. His cards are so cute. He sent me over a few things a few months ago, and I haven't gotten a chance to spin the cotton yet, but I'm going to be putting this along with the rest of my cotton sort of in the very back of my stash, out of sight, out of mind, until the summer when I really want to spin those materials again. So you can get this little setup, I believe, at Joann's. It's just a little crafting storage area that I have, and right now we're just putting fiber literally in the back portion of these shelves, and then when we have things that we do want to work with sooner rather than later, we're going to fill in this front section. I also have some like plastic bins of storage that we're also going to use today, but I kind of wanted to just bring you along on like my process as I do this because I don't approach it in a really traditional way. I kind of move like section by section, piece by piece. And so next up on things that I kind of want to store in the back portion that I just know I'm not going to get to these until at least spring when it warms up again, right? So this colorway, I actually made these rollags myself on my blending board. So these are my ocean Rolags. They were inspired by the ocean. I still really want to spin these, but I started spinning them and I thought I was going to core spin it, and I had a really not fun time core spinning because it's not my favorite thing, honestly. I also definitely made these Rolags way too dense. This was at the very beginning of me figuring out how to make Rolags. And even though I like a tighter Rolag for the sake of storage, I just think I put too much fiber on this board. It was really difficult to get off. There's a lot of varying staple lengths in this. It's definitely going to be a funky art spin, and it's going to be beautiful, but it's just not something I am feeling called to right now. So we're going to put this towards the back of the stash as well. Some other sort of like summery fibers that are going in the back of the stash. Again, I apologies about this getting super blown out. You might not be able to read that label, but these are actually from Mohair and More. I got these as part of somebody's fiber de-stash. So the woman that I bought my Lendrum wheel from kind of just threw in a bunch of fibers that she had tried out that she wanted to pass along. This is soybean, and then this is just some white bamboo. And these I just don't feel called to working with in the wintertime. I kind of want to work with warm and fluffy fibers, and these are just not that. Maybe I could incorporate the bamboo into some winter things, but I just personally find I'm more called to spinning fibers like that in the summer. Okay, so pretty early on, I already think things are already getting pretty chaotic. So I have this box that is such a mishmash of things that I am planning on using pretty soon, and then things that I am not planning on using anytime soon. Slash, I think are going to end up, again, being bases for maybe some blending activities. I'm thinking of making just a blending box. We're going to see how that idea comes to fruition by the end of the video. We'll check in with later Brian and see how all of this develops. So some of these things are from People's D-Stash. So there's this Ashford fiber. This is a merino and silk blend. I've had varying and mixed feelings about working with this. It's sometimes fun, it's sometimes not. It really depends on how you spin it. This is some pink merino that I have not touched yet at all. I just don't really, I need to blend it with something, I think, to turn it into a color that I like more than this. I like pink. I just don't think this is my pink. This is a little bright for me, not in my color range. I think it could be a nice base for an art spin though, and I do have this pink spin kind of in mind, so I might actually set this aside and set it out. I might use this sooner rather than later. And this is more Ashford fiber. Again, this is all D-Stash, except for this is a little leftover part of a braid that I have from Xander's Cottage. I have some more merino braids from Xander. I don't have a ton of merino, but he is a lot of the merino that I have. It's because it's in colorways that I just like, a lot of like greens and blues, because that's definitely the colors that I like to spin. But I had a lot of fun spinning this up, and so this is just a little extra tail, and I think I am going to put this aside with the silk. So maybe I'll turn this box into things that I am planning on spinning sooner rather than later. So I do have this Cheviot top and these silk caps that I got these both at Rhinebeck. I just had nowhere to store a lot of my Rhinebeck stuff. It's why I'm doing this stash flash, because things are really unorganized. And I'm planning on using these things fairly soon. I love these silk caps. I do want to spin up just a sample of white Cheviot for this like white sample project that I'm scheming up in my brain. Okay, so I feel like it's appropriate to put this is Coopworth that I also got from Fiber Kingdom at Rhinebeck, and I'm gonna put it in this box with its little Cheviot brother. And then now that I feel like I've established this as sort of like mostly a natural colored fiber box, I know I have these dyed silk caps in here, but I'm also going to put this Wellspring Farms Frisian sample. I'm planning on spinning this up for part of a breed study, and I might do a breed study episode, or like do an episode here on YouTube where I cover a number of breeds all at once, if you guys would be interested in something like that. But we're putting this fiber in here too, and that kind of taps out on this box. I don't like to overstuff fiber in these boxes because I don't want to compact it or felt it or anything like that. So I keep it pretty loosey-goosey in here. Okay, so this is the reason we toss our stash. This is something that I totally forgot was in my stash. This is another, I think it's like the Nova Scotia dyeing company. I don't know if they still exist, but I got this braid at a discount from a place that I don't know if I would buy spinning fiber from them again. Some places where like they'll discount fiber for a good reason, and there are other places where they discount fiber because frankly it should just honestly like not be sold. This braid is just so unbelievably felted together, and it was felted together when I got it. It's not due to improper storage or anything like that. And I just don't see salvaging this. This is the kind of thing that like I think honestly, depending on what I can pull apart from it, maybe it'll end up in a felting project. It's just already so felted together. I don't know. I'm glad though, because this has been taking up space in my stash and taking up valuable container space. So we're gonna put this one to the side. Next up is this down roving from Hidden Pastures Fiber Farm. I actually really liked spinning this, but I just know that I am not going to want to spin up the rest of this anytime soon. I spun some of it in the summer. I spun a lot of it in the summer, and it says 2+ ounces on here, but when I weighed it, it was over 4 ounces. So I just had a lot of this roving. It is really squishy and fun, and I really like the skein of yarn that I made from it. It ended up in my scarf. I thought I'd bring out the sample actually. So it's part of this breed study scarf, and I really love this scarf because it has a ton of different sheep breeds in it, but it also has some of my dog yarn. So this yarn is Corriedale and also my dog Bo. I feel like you can see it better on this one, especially. Do you see that halo? You see that halo there? That's my dog. That's Bo. So I blended it together. It doesn't shed too bad because it's a blend and I spun it with enough twist. But this is that down fiber. I ended up dyeing it with logwood, and I think it came out beautiful. People say that down fiber doesn't take dye well, but I think it really depends on the down fiber. That being said, I spun a lot of it already. I'm just not feeling it. This is going to go to the back of the stash. What I mean too by taking up space and like storage bags is that I like to reuse a lot of the bags that I get fiber in. So these are from Winterberry's yarn. These actually had that first bat that I ever spun that I was talking about last episode, the Mardi Gras like purple bat that ended up in my cat hat. I really like these bags. I have stored many a braid in them to keep them safe and dust free for the time being before I can actually spin them. And so that's what I'm going to use these for today. I am going to put some new braids in them. Before I do that, though, I am going to bring out this. It is Meadow Flowers hand-dyed Tussa Silk Braid from Hidden Pastures, New Jersey. Again, I love a lot of their fiber, not just their alpaca and their sheep, but I also love like silk and things like that that I can get from them. I have loved working with, I already finished one of these silk braids, the purple one, and this one's blue and pink. I've just worked with this silk a lot, essentially all summer, and I'm kind of just a little sick of the colorway for now. I know if I put it away for a while and I bring it back out in the spring, I will absolutely be excited to use this again. But for the winter, we're just going to put it away for a little while. Sometimes that's what you have to do to love your stash. You need to hide it away for a little bit. So this is going to go in that like blending scraps pile, I think, that I have. I think it's going to be put into the blending box. All right, so braids. And these are braids that I am planning on keeping sort of at the top of my stash. I'm trying to put things into categories as I'm making space. So these are two braids that I picked up at Rhinebeck. If you want to know more details about either of these, you can go to the Rhinebeck haul video. But yeah, I'm planning on spinning these in the winter. I have a lot of big winter plans. We'll see how many of these come to fruition, but I want these at the top because I feel like I'm going to want to spin these during the winter. And what I mean by at the top is that I simply mean like at the top in my collection in a more metaphorical way. Like I just want them easily accessible for when I need a little color in my life. But some braids that I haven't talked about, at least not on this channel yet, is, so these are my braids from Nouveau. I love this fiber artist. You can find her on Instagram and TikTok. And I believe she also has a YouTube. She might be on here as Ashley Martineau. This is a braid that I have from her. This is Navajo Churro. and some, I believe it's some other heritage breed for the locks, but these might be Navajo churro locks. And then I also have this other braid from her that I absolutely adore. This one's slightly bigger. I have the label somewhere, but I love these like bright orange locks. I just think they're fantastic. I love green. I love the white. I think it's going to be a nice sherbety spin. It'll be really fun. And I want to store these in those cute little bags that I have. Again, just so they're like safe from dust. But I do want them to be at the top of my collection, or at least easily accessible. And normally I have been storing them on that area over there, but I do worry about the amount of dust that collects on things. That's really supposed to be a yarn drying rack. So like the yarn normally only sits there for a little while, whereas like the braids will sometimes sit there for a while. I don't know if other people worry about these things. This is what I worry about. Okay, so this bag is not big enough for this jumbo braid, but we'll find another safe container for it. But we're gonna roll up this one, and I know this one will fit into the bag. All right, one little bag of fiber. I'm gonna reuse this bag that had some Clun Forest in it, and I'm just gonna store the braid in here. Seal it up. Not get the locks caught in the top. There we go. Safe and sound. Okay, next up to tackle is this box right here. So this is going to be just another storage box. There's just more Rhinebeck fiber in here that I just kind of tossed to the side. So this is Ross Farm. It's the Black Welsh Mountain and the Castle Morit. I'm going to store these standing up, and I think I might keep these in this box for the time being, because I think this box is going to have stuff that I am planning on maybe getting to sometime soon. I do have these two little samples that I wanted to take out of here, so I wanted to talk about this bat for a second. I got this bat when I was looking at the classic Carters. They're the ones, Paul Britton makes them in Shropshire in the UK. If I was going to buy one Carter brand new, it would be these. I have highly considered getting one. I think when it's such a wish list item. When I have the funds, this is something that I would really like to get, and I do think I would like to get one of the larger ones. Maybe not like the jumbo wide, but like the jumbo maybe. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. But I got this bat. They let me try the smallest Carter that they have, and I made this little mini bat, and it's just real cute, and I really liked interacting with the seller and the staff, and I just think they make a well-designed, good product. Like, it was really fantastic, and this bat is wonderful. And then this is just a little sample of CVM that I got from one of the farmers in the barns with the animals. So I kind of want to spin these up together sometime soon to make just like a little like Rhinebeck memorial yarn. I don't know. I just think it'd be a cute memory. It's definitely going to go in my fiber space bag and probably not get used in anything, but maybe I'll put it in a hat. I don't know. What else is going in this box? I have this little bit of bubble wrap that I use for felting, and I do think I'm actually going to put I call it my felting mat. It is just this like it's down fleece, it's Suffolk fleece that I tried to felt, and it like semi-felted, so I use it to like needle felt on and stuff like that, because I've noticed that other wool fibers won't bind to this while I'm needle felting. So I use this as like a needle felting base. So I think this is going to go in here too, and I can really just squish it as much as I want, because it's not like it's going to felt or anything like that. I'm also going to put these cute little Sari Silk waist samples that I got from, you guessed it, Hidden Pastures here in New Jersey. Listen, guys, I like to source locally when I can, and it's just a wonderful fiber farm. If you've never, like, looked into it, it's fantastic. This is Oasis, and Oasis is beautiful. Oh my gosh, look at that. I can't wait to blend this into something. And if you've never blended a little bit of Sari Silk into something before, it can really make a coarser fiber a lot softer. I also have it in Aquarium, which is this really like bright blue and then green, and there's little bits of like reds and yellows in there too. Very fun. These are going into this box as well. Okay, next up, things that on a long list of things that I've been meaning to spin for a while, but I just haven't. So this is called Swallowtail in Flowers. They're Rolags that I got from Hidden Pastures Farm. They are farm alpaca, fine wool, wool locks, sorry silk. I mean, absolutely beautiful. I'm planning on using these as a partial base for my moss yarn. I still have plans to spin this moss yarn with all of these green locks and things. Maybe I should store all of the moss yarn materials together. Does that make more sense? I feel like that does. I feel like that'll make more sense for my brain. So what else are we going to put into this box is the real question. Let's take a peek. Maybe I should I have all of these alpaca roving packs that I plan on using in one big spin. So they're all over 2 ounces each, and I have four. 3 in this blue color and 1 in this like pink like party funfetti color. It's more of a purple. I think Hidden Pastures does purples and pinks like really wonderfully. I just think it's so fun. It's all on their white alpaca. It's really soft. I just love their farm alpaca. It does have a little bit of a shorter staple, but it totally makes up for that in being just really unbelievably soft and cushy. And I think there's just enough room to put all of these stored together in here, so I think that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna use this like insert part for one of those boxes. I usually like to like take them out and put them on top of the box for like extra storage, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to use this to finally organize my moss bin. There's a lot of reasons I think that I haven't gotten around to the moss bin, but one of them is definitely that I haven't actually settled on a solid base for it. So I think that we're going to use some of these in terms of the base for it. So I do think I'm going to pull out one of these braids, and these are braids from Xander's Cottage. You can see I have a few of them in here. Here's this little green guy, and I don't know, I like these colors. I am a little worried that, it's like, maybe not. These are not the same kinds of greens. Maybe not. So I thought I was going to use this braid. I really like this colorway, and I might still pull this out, but we're going to tackle these in a second. Focus, Brian. Focus. We're going to take these Rolags, and they are definitely going to be part of our base. I have this little green mini bat that has some like yellow and browns in it as well that I think will go well with this. So you can see. And then I also have these scraps that I have been collecting in this extra bag. Ignore that label. It was an old Hidden Pastures bag, but now it's mine. I'm gonna blend these up and turn them into, I think, the rest of the base, because I have been setting those aside specifically for that purpose. And then you might be asking yourself, the base for what? I have all of these green locks to spin into this moss yarn. I want to do a highly textured, just locky spin. Right here, I have some really beautiful green mohair locks. And then in these bags, I have a variety. So I have these Teeswater locks that are these are from Hidden Pastures. And they're kind of this like brighter neon green. But then I also have the rest of these locks. So these are Lincoln Longwool locks. And they were actually a silver Lincoln that's been overdyed with green. And you just look at that. Look at all that. That's amazing. Absolutely love these. And I'm going to go and get the information of the dyer and the shepherdess who raised these. Okay, so I was able to find it. It's Outlying Acres Fiber Farm. So we have one half of this filled. There's still a nice amount of room. And so I do think I'm going to just add the rest of my locks that I have. I have a nice collection of locks. So this is for a practice pink spin that I want to do before I do this bigger green spin. So these are going to be pink mohair locks that are also from Hidden Pastures. These are so unbelievably soft, and again, they do pinks and purples very well at Hidden Pastures. I have these dyed Teeswater locks from them as well. These are going to be, I think that they are BFL, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, purple coneflower BFL locks. So there's some like oranges and browns here. I was really inspired by a Jillian Eve lock spin that she did in these really beautiful shades of pinks and purples. I was like, dang, that's beautiful. I want some of that. She kept it as singles too. And you guys know me, I'm usually not a huge singles guy, but it was really awesome. And then I saw her make a hat out of it very recently and it came out beautiful. So I think I'd like to emulate a little bit of that spin or take inspiration from that spin. And then last but not least, I do have some more Teeswater lamb locks. These are going to be a little bit softer than an adult Teeswater. Lamb fleeces generally are softer. And this is an azalea. And again, this is not normally the range of pink that I like, but I don't know, these are fantastic. I think I'll learn to like this specific spin. That's one of my favorite parts about spinning. It has really opened my eyes up to different colors that I really enjoy. And then while I have this stuff out, I did want to kind of take a look at maybe what I want the base spin of this to be. With lock spin, some people like to just spin locks on locks, which is also really fun, but I like to try to get like a large amount of yarn out of my lock spins, or as much as I possibly can, because I love lock spun yarns and I love using them in projects too. They look awesome when they're actually like crocheted or knitted up or woven. So I have some options here on directions that I can go. I have this purple merino braid from Xander's Cottage that I could use as a base. And then I also have these were from a D-stash, and I feel like maybe they're a little too red, but maybe if I blend it into this with this terracotta, you can tell that the person that I bought the D-stash from bought a lot of stuff from Mohair and More. I have checked out their shop, and honestly, like, if you want to get a bunch of little samples of merino to blend up, they seem to have procured quite a collection of them. Not all of these colors are colors that I'm 100% sure how I'm going to use, but maybe if I blend this with these, I think I could get a really, really nice base for this spin. I think this is what we're going to do. We're going to put these aside on the top here, maybe in a bag so that this braid doesn't get a bunch of dusties on it. And if you are curious, it looks like these are the colorways Terracotta and Poppy. Alrighty, there we go. I have this little top section now. I like this. This looks cute and inspiring and organized. Not exactly sure where I'm going to place it just yet, but I'm glad I have this. These spins are now organized, not just in front of me, but also in my brain, and I feel like I'm more likely to actually reach for them now. You know what? Last minute addition, we're also going to throw this pink base on it as well, because again, I just don't see myself using this pink by itself, but maybe if it was combined with some other shades of pinks and purples and browns and oranges, I think I could like it a lot more. If you started following me on TikTok for my blending board videos specifically, then you're probably already familiar with this box, but this is like, I call it my like blending box. It doesn't have most of the stuff in it. These are things that I kind of just have set aside for specifically blending in. So different people's random fiber D-stashes. When I buy fiber from small businesses, I tend to buy their like D-stash bats and things like this. So this is one that I specifically remember is from Nouveau as well. So this is more of her fiber. She has some of the most fantastic and inspired art bats that I have ever seen, that have ever graced my eyeballs. I absolutely love her work, so I had to buy one of her little art bat D-stashes. This specific one, I'm trying to remember exactly where I got it. Let me look up their info. These are from Wild Time on Etsy. So why I like Wild Time stuff is that they have such a beautiful eclectic eye as well for just a mix of textured add-ins, neps, different fibers, Firestar. So there is one fiber D-stash sort of pick that you can get where you pick like two main colors. I picked blue and green clearly for this one. And then you can also just get, this one's just the 2-ounce fiber fun pack. And again, it just has a mix of Some of them are yarns. Again, a lot of it is highly textured, little neps, and just like blips of color and Firestar. If you like the sparklies, I occasionally like the sparklies. We all need a little sparkle in our life. Highly recommend this seller. I use this fiber destash, and it's really fun because I just pick one or two things every once in a while to mix into bats or rolags, and it just adds something special to them. I do have these neps still. It's super unfortunate. I bought these not that long ago at New Jersey Sheep and Wool, but unfortunately the seller has already gone out of business. They have shut down their shop on all sites. I did get these neps, and now that I know how to actually spin neps, I like them a lot more. I did need to look up a little bit more technique, and again, I do find that Ashley Martineau from Art Nouveau has some really helpful like videos and tutorials on her Instagram about techniques that you can use to capture texture into yarn a little bit better. Your neps don't go flying everywhere, because that was the problem that I had. And then otherwise, I do just have the rest of this. This is literally just like ends of fiber that I've already spun in the past. Or I don't know, I purchased this this wool roving for wet felting a long time ago, and I reused the bag to house like red fiber. These are colors that I don't tend to use as much as other colors. I do have a little bit of alpaca and yak roving with, there's some blue Wales Road Malabrigo that I saved. It was a scrap from a project, and then some of this fiber, and I definitely meant to blend these together at some point, and I just never did. This is a cute colorway though, cute combination. I'm gonna keep this bag in mind. And I just try to organize this box in a way where things are sort of like facing upward and I can see exactly what I have available to me. I do also have this sort of like mystery destash bag of fiber. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember exactly where I got this. I definitely bought it at Maryland Sheep and Wool from one of the sellers there. I don't know. The colors just caught my eye. I liked all of these funky colors I could see in a big art bat with maybe a little bit of added texture. If you have been following this channel, you have seen this colorway probably a bajillion times. I am spinning this on my drop spindle right now. I don't think I can fit all that much more fiber on that drop spindle, and I think that my next drop spindle project that I put on my double whirl spindle, I don't really want to use this colorway again. I'm kind of just sick of it. I've spun it so much all summer and all fall essentially, and I think I'm just going to put it into this blending box because it's going to eventually get blended up with stuff. I just don't know what yet, but it needs to go away for a little while, or get reinvented into something else before I can spin it again. I've located some other mix-ins that I'm also going to be putting in the blending box. First up, I have some lovely long-haired lop fiber that one of my beautiful followers sent me. Thank you so much again, Bunny, for sending me some fiber. So this is Nana, and she is a white rabbit, obviously. And I'm pretty sure, oh yes, this one's Nugget, and he's this beautiful gray. And the beautiful thing about, you know, things like cashmere and yak and other luxury fibers, rabbit, Angora, is that a little bit does go a long way. So I do plan on blending these. I don't really plan on spinning them just by themselves. And gently just close these up. I might get a little bit of tape. We're just going to put these into the blending box because more than likely I am going to blend them with some other fiber. And then I'm also going to put the rest of these merino samples in here. You might be asking why I haven't like opened them up yet, and it's because they're just stored so nicely like in the vacuum sealed bag, and I'm not quite ready to use them yet. Even though they were destashed to me, I'm not really sure how long they've been in there. Maybe that's a problem. I don't know. We'll find out when I open it up. It's all right if that ends up being the case. And I think that's about it in terms of what we can fit into this initial blending box. So I think I still have more sort of like blending materials, like things that are scrap ends and things like that. But this is a lot nicer looking and more organized than it was before. And I'm glad I kind of got to just like revisit some of this. I haven't had any desire lately to bust out my blending board, but I think that I will because I've just been feeling like blending something up again now. I think that one of the reasons that I just like have not been drawn to my blending board is because it is not super accessible for me to like bring it out at any point just because of like where it is in my room. So that's part of the reason too that we're organizing today, because again, we just want to bring certain things to the front, refresh our creative spirit. Are at like a little bit of an impasse right now, so I just have like a lot of things kind of just hanging around. So first I have this roving that I have not felt like coming back to this. I kind of want to spin it by itself. I don't really want to blend this with anything else. I think that it's pretty by itself. I've just spun a fair amount of it already, and I don't know when I'm going to get to the rest of this. And then I also have this CVM Rommeldale from, this is my favorite place to get CVM as of right now in terms of like processed roving. It's Beaulaire's Orchard. Absolutely beautiful. I've already spun up some of it. You can see I have the singles here, about an ounce, and then I have about an ounce left to spin, so I just need to spin this up and ply it. I think I'm going to put this in my to-do basket. My to-do basket is the large basket on my table that as of right now is holding either projects that I'm currently spinning or fibers that I'm about to get to, so that's where this bag is headed. I do have this Manos del Uruguay braid that I do want to get to this winter. I feel like you can't really tell while it's in the bag, and I don't really feel like taking it out of the bag, I'm not gonna lie, but it has some grays and some pinks in it, and I just think it will be really pretty once I spin it up. I think I was really intimidated as like a very beginner spinner when I first bought this braid, and now when I come back to it, for some reason I still feel those intimidating feelings, even though I've definitely spun things that are going to be more difficult to spin than this braid is. And in this last little like bin top organizer thing, I'm going to put those fibers that I had set aside before for destash from like way earlier. And then I also have this bag of destash that this is mostly stuff that I've actually spun, and then they're just extras that I throw into a bag. This is my personal destash bag, and there's a whole mix of fibers in here. I'm gonna put this on top as well. I have this bag of just like random yarn bits and bobs that I also add to art bats and things like that for texture. Okay, and then I have the rest of my braids from Xander's Cottage. I do think that most of these I might end up putting here. Some of them I'm going to take out and put to the side. And then the ones that I plan on spinning sooner rather than later, I think I'm going to put out on this board. I'm coming back to you a little bit later in the day because I needed a snack. I needed a break. We had plowed through a lot of fiber. I did settle on the braids that I'm going to be keeping kind of out and in my eyeline. It's going to be this green braid and then this green and blue sparkly braid as well. And then I was able to actually make room over in my little like crafting area proper for my blending board. I keep my blending board in its like box for storage because it's just easy. It keeps everything together. I have the dowels in here. I have the little brush. Hopefully I will get back into using my blending board again just because it'll be left out, and I'm definitely going to be showing you guys more of that on YouTube. The last thing that we're going to address in the stash before we actually get to raw fleece samples and fleece in general is this Drysdale fiber from Nuvo as well. I'm very excited to spin Drysdale. It's super rare. I do like this colorway quite a bit. I believe it was her colorways inspired by philosophers, so they have philosophers' names. I don't remember. I am really excited to spin these braids. I have a whole pound of it, so I feel like I could make a really, really beautiful bag or something like that out of this. I feel like the one fun fact everybody knows about Drysdale is I think they carpet like certain labs and things like that with Drysdale because it doesn't retain a lot of static. This fiber is actually going to go in the area of my room where I have been storing some of my fiber samples, like my breed samples, because I feel like with the breed samples being in a box, I need to take them out of the box. They've been in the box since I got the sampler pack. I have worked my way through a fair amount of these samples already. However, I've really slowed down, and I feel like it's because they're very much out of sight, out of mind. So I need to bring some of them forward and find some ones that I'm excited about again. And hopefully that will help me kind of get back into doing some breed samples. Okay, so fleece. Let's talk about it. Before I get into my like sampler pack of fleeces, I actually just wanted to kind of look through the other scoured and clean fleece that I have and decide what I kind of want to bring forward for the winter, what I want to process in the winter. So I already have this is my sack of CVM. This is the CVM fleece that I purchased at Rhinebeck. I'm planning on processing it this winter. So this beautiful pillowcase of a CVM fleece is going to be sitting next to me in my chair, I think all winter. But besides that, there are some other fibers that I would, again, kind of like to bring out of the closet, and some of them that I'd like to put back into the closet. First things first, I do have just a little bit of this white Lincoln long wool that I got from Maryland Sheep and Wool. I'd say about a year ago. I've spun a fair amount of this. There's not much of it left. But because I did spin a lot of it this summer, I'm just not really in the mood to spin white locks in the coming winter. So that's going to go into the closet. Next up, I do have a little bit of Jacob fleece left over. I got this at New Jersey Sheep and Wool. This is Catherine, and this was a really fun fleece to work with. I have either spun up most of Catherine or she has gone on to other fiber collections and other fiber homes. I think I would like to keep her out for the coming winter though. We're gonna put her over here. Next up is this Clun Forest sample that I keep meaning to get to, but I keep not getting to, and I'm heavily considering maybe just putting it away for a while because I feel like I have been looking at it for too long and I'm kind of sick of it and I haven't even started spinning it yet. Next up is another box of fleece that is definitely going back into the closet. So this is the rest of Nicholas, the Suffolk sheep. I've spun up a lot of this. It has been fun. I plan on finishing the rest of this fleece, but I have just, again, seen too much of it this spring. I think my winter palette, I need a palette cleanser. So we're going to be putting these bad boys away. We are going to talk about, I have some Rambouillet fleece that I really need to process. I actually have 2 pounds. I actually have 2 pounds of Rambouillet from 2 different sheep. One of them, this one, was a little bit more prone to rolling around in things, so there's a lot more VM in this sample. And then this container right here, this sheep was actually pretty clean, and I actually think this is going to be a lot easier to process than the other. I have some of it that is actually already processed and ready for me to spin. I just need to spin a sample and see how I like it. I think that based on what I know, I'm making a lot of assumptions about how I'm going to feel about this Rambouillet, but at the end of the day, I actually haven't spun a ton of Rambouillet, and I would like to try a few different prep styles and see for myself how I can learn to enjoy this fiber. Another sample that I am busting out of the back of the stash is this really beautiful oatmeal Shetland fleece from my friend Sam. Again, Sam, thank you so much for sharing this beautiful fleece with me. Her name is Heather. I did a suet clean on this and I think it turned out fantastic. And now that I have combs, I can't decide whether I want to card or I want to comb this. But lately, I have just been feeling like it's time for me to spin this oatmeal. I'm imagining projects with this oatmeal base. And so I would like to see some of Heather the Shetland spun up. We're going to pull this fleece out to the front as well so that I just remember to pay attention to it this winter. Thing we're going to talk about before we get to the actual fleece sampler pack is, I don't know why I categorize this as a fleece because it's not a fleece. It's just a pound of blue fiber from the Shepherd's Mill Wool Processing in Elmer, New Jersey. So New Jersey Wool Processing, I really wanted to pick some up. It is I believe it's a Romney Corriedale blend, and it's all dyed and processed on site. And this is my blue. This is Brian blue. And so I feel like I categorize this as a fleece because I'm going to be making like a sweater's amount of yarn, or not a whole sweater, but but a good portion of a sweater's amount of yarn with this fiber. So I also want to have this out throughout the winter because I do want to start trying to spin this. I think I'm going to need to make a spinner's reference card for this one though, because I know I'm not going to spin the entire thing front to back without any breaks in between. I'm just not going to. This is my breed study pack from the Winchwood Spinner in the UK. So mind you, these are all mostly like UK sourced samples, but one reason that I really like this study pack, besides it being really extensive and me getting to try like a whole slew of breeds, is that it's broken down into categories and you're given informational sheets about each category. So like here's the Downs one, the Down breeds, and then there's one for the primitive breeds. Some of these samples I kind of have like all stuck together still, like the Welsh breed pack I have pretty self-contained and I'm gonna try to keep it that way. But like the Down pack, like Dorset Down, that's some Cheviot, South Down, Shropshire Down. Shropshire is hard to get too. So this is a cool one. I even have like things like Herdwick in here. I have a whole multitude, and I just feel like there's some things on the very bottom of this that I have not even like, I haven't looked at in a really long time. So I'm going to peek through this and just really quickly decide what is going to be the ones that we bring to the top. Right off the bat, I still want to spin this North Ronaldsay. So these sheep eat seaweed, and I just find that like so unbelievably charming. So I really want to spin this up. So we're gonna definitely take this one out. Okay, so I have definitely figured out a game plan for these samples, and I am re-excited about spinning a lot of them. So as I mentioned before, I'm bringing the North Ronaldsay and the Black Knock Hill Cheviot to the front. I want to definitely spin these like sometime soon, maybe do a breed study episode about it. And then I do have this Welsh breed pack, so that Cheviot sample is part of this Welsh breed pack. There's also White Welsh Mountain. I already spun the Black Welsh Mountain sample. There's Lane, Bela, Speckled Face. Again, apologize for the pronunciations here. Llanwnog, Balwyn, Hill Radnor, Kerry Hill, which I recently saw here in the US. There's a breed up program going on right now here in the US for the Kerry Hill breed, and the Badgerface Tordu. So this should be a ton of fun. I'm also leaving out some of these like finer wool samples. I do have some Teeswater, Wensleydale, Leicester Longwool, Blueface Leicester, and Border Leicester samples here, so I am going to leave these out as well. As far as samples that are going kind of up on the shelf for now, and I'm kind of just okay setting aside for the time being and not addressing a ton of time to, I kind of have some extras from the packs that I've already worked through. I do have this Devon breed pack, so the Devon Closewool, the gray-faced and white-faced Dartmoor. I actually think I might have spun those samples already. And the Devon and Cornwall Longwool and the Exmoor Horn. I'm gonna put these to the side. These are all whiter samples. They have a variety of like coarsenesses and finenesses to them, but I just don't feel like working on them right now. I don't know. They're not calling to me. And then I also have all of these are either Dorset breeds or Down breeds. I do eventually want to get to these because I have a plan to make some crochet mittens out of all of my Downy and Dorset breed wools, but I think it's gonna be a while before I get to that. It just has not been something that I've been like wanting to spin lately, and I don't like to force myself to do things that I don't want to do, especially when it comes to spinning, because it's supposed to be fun. Alrighty, so that is absolutely everything that I have in my fiber stash. I hope that you had a fun time coming along. I hope maybe you learned something. Maybe there are some new dyers or some new fiber providers that you're going to try out now. Again, thank you so much for tagging along. This is something that I just really needed to get around to. I'm feeling a lot better about just the way my art space looks right now and the way things are set up. As always, you can find my Instagram and my TikTok in the description below, along with the Wool to Gold shop. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks again, fiber friends, and we'll see you on the next one.